So, what is Clawdbot? Well, I'm sure you've seen videos of scores of Mac Minis running in parallel or posts on tech forums, but in case you haven't, Clawdbot is simply an automated agent framework built on top of an AI provider like GPT or Claude. It's like a machine that's always on that can execute tasks autonomously and like a human being, except it's on 24/7. But that still doesn't explain how we can use it to boost our Shopify store ranking. In other words, how we can use it for generative engine optimization or GEO. Well, you have to take a look at how AI providers like ChatGPT rank and index sites like your Shopify store. Basically, in a nutshell, they take two things into account. So let's say this is your website. There's two things that determine how your site shows up on AI search and how often. Number one is straight up SEO, right? It's, blog posts, ranking for keywords, you're ranking on Google, etc., right? But then the second way that many people don't know about is how often your brand is talked about. Okay, talked about across their AI platform. So as an explanation on kind of how this works, let's take the kind of topic that we're talking about right now, right? Clawbot. Okay? Clawbot 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, nobody knew about Clawbot. So if you asked OpenAI about Clawbot, it would basically search the web for what Clawbot is and look across forums and try and do all this in 2 to 3 seconds. So it would quickly crawl the web and kind of understand the context. But now, 2 weeks later that this kind of topic went viral, if you go ahead and ask ChatGPT about Clawbot, what you'll notice is it doesn't even need to search for it. It already has that information indexed, so it can give you the answer right away and understand all the relevant information. Now that it has this info stored and indexed, it returns the info almost instantly because users have already asked about it. And so ChatGPT in this case has realized that it needed to quickly index this information to serve to future users, because the likelihood of a future user asking about Clawbot is very, very high because users have already asked about it in previous chats across their AI platform. Furthermore, their infrastructure scrapes details from the prompts themselves to index, like what is Clawbot? How does it work? What are some common user questions? And what's the best way to serve all of this back to the end user? And all of this is called prompt signal indexing, okay? PSI. And it's when AI platforms prioritize and accelerate knowledge indexing based on user demand signals. So, for example, if you have a store and you have multiple AI agents or Clawbots pinging all the different AI model providers about it, and every single day, and also clicking on the links that are provided and making sure that all of that information is indexed, well, you can imagine that that store is going to have a very, very high rank because clearly users are asking about it, so that information needs to be indexed. And this is exactly the magic behind how a software like LinkGPT, so a Shopify app that you can find on the App Store, works, in that it has multiple Clawbots and also manual users working in unison day after day, pinging the LLMs about a specific business. And the key thing here is that it does not use the API. That's because API requests are actually treated differently than live sessions. So there's kind of an automation and aspect to this that is very, very important. So I'll just show you an example now. Full disclosure, LinkGPT is an application that I created. I'll show you exactly how it works in real time using a recording of a Clawbot in action. All right, so here we have an example of a Clawbot in action. You can see it comes to the ChatGPT website and searches for a specific store, in this case, Tosho Knife Arts, which I believe is a Japanese knife store, one of our clients. You can see it waits for the response, gets all the different information, forces ChatGPT to come up with that information, and then immediately searches for a link to click on. Now, keep in mind, this is just one example of a prompt, but it will come up with new prompts over time related to your products and so on. And if a link appears, click on yours. So you can see here, it's just scrolling through the website, trying to understand the site, trying to act like a real user. And I believe it will even look for a product and click on it. In this case, it just clicks on a t-shirt and kind of understands that. And all of this information then goes back to ChatGPT to show that this is a kind of a high signal site and to index that information. Now imagine you had, like I said, multiple processes like these running every single day, maybe 10 to 20 up to 100, running every single day at scale, alongside things like instant auto indexing and competitor and keyword analysis for SEO. And you understand how an app like LinkGPT or other LLM outreach providers work. And that's exactly how you can use Clawbots or OpenClaw to boost GEO for Shopify stores and websites effectively. Of course, you can create something like this yourself, but it's way easier just to install something like this application, have it running autonomously for you without you even having to really lift a finger.